Welcome to Value Plays Only, where Bolas' Citadel just sets up your land drops. Today, we have Cammy playing Kinnan, Bond or Prodigy. This deck looks to make infinite mana and filter into Kinnan, putting out huge threats along the way. Her hand contains a Delighted Halfling, Mox Diamond, Manamo School at Water's Edge, and a Gemstone Caverns. Her 3 London Mulligans are Mana Vault, Fabricate, and Seedborn Muse. John is playing Oswald Fiddlebender. This is a toolbox tutor combo deck pretending to be a stacks deck. This deck can pivot between a convoluted many-step combo or just tutoring up value pieces. His hand contains Glasses of Urza, Immovable Rod, Chalice of the Void, Lotus Petal, Staff of Domination, Blast Zone, and Gemstone Caverns. Dan is playing Najeela, the Blade Blossom. This 5-color good stuff pile is packed full of wins. In addition to Najeela's specific combos like Derevi and Grim Hireling, it can win with Thassa's Oracle or Underworld Breach. His hand contains a Mystic Remora, Flusterstorm, Drannith Magistrate, Opposition Agent, Savine's Reclamation, Volcanic Island, and Exotic Orchard. Tyler's playing Rograkh, Son of Rograkh, and Thrasios, Triton Hero. This is a Gaia's Cradle Storm list looking to make tons of mana and dump it into Thrasios to pump out a win. His hand contains a Storm Chaser's Talent, Springleaf Drum, Six, Scalding Tarn, and Mistrized Village. His London Mulligans are Phantasmal Image and Valley Flood Caller. And with that, let's see some value plays. John has a pre-game action, putting Gemstone Caverns into play, exiling Glasses of Urza. Cammy then starts things off with a Manamo, School at Water's Edge. She casts a Mox Diamond, discarding Gemstone Caverns as it enters. She casts a Delighted Halfling. Cammy passes the turn. John untaps and draws. He plays a Blast Zone as land for turn with a charge counter. He casts a Lotus Petal. He casts his commander, Oswald Fiddlebender. He then casts Chalice of the Void with X equals 0. Tyler slams his head into the table as he looks longingly at Rograkh. John continues, casting an Immovable Rod. He then passes the turn. Dan plays a Volcanic Island as land for turn. He casts a Mystic Remora. Dan passes the turn. Tyler plays a Scalding Tarn as land for turn. He pays life and cracks it, fetching up a Tropical Island. He casts a Storm Chaser's Talent. Remore triggers and Dan draws. Talent then resolves and Tyler makes a 1/1 Otter with Prowess. He then passes the turn, still complaining about his lack of Rograkh. Cammy untaps and draws. She casts her commander, Kinnan, Bond or Prodigy. She then passes the turn. John untaps and draws. He activates Oswald, sacrificing a Immovable Rod to search up a Grim Monolith to the battlefield. He casts a Staff of Domination, Remore triggers and Dan draws. John then passes the turn. Dan untaps and in his upkeep, he pays to keep Remora. He plays Exotic Orchard as land for turn. Dan holds up mana and passes, discarding Savine's Reclamation to hand size. Tyler untaps and draws. He plays a Mistrized Village as land for turn. Tyler casts a Springleaf Drum. Remore triggers and Dan draws. Tyler taps his Otter to Springleaf to cast his commander, Thrasios, Triton Hero. He then passes the turn. Cammy untaps and draws. She casts a Soul Ring. Remore triggers and Dan draws. Cammy then casts an Enduring Vitality. John tries to deflect some of the heat off of him onto this obvious problem, but no one seems concerned. Cammy then passes the turn. John untaps and draws. He plays an Iganjo, Seed of the Empire, as land for turn. John activates Oswald, sacrificing Grim Monolith to tutor up a 1,000-year Elixir to the battlefield. He activates Elixir to untap Oswald. He then activates Oswald again, sacrificing Staff of Domination to search up the One Ring to the battlefield. John then passes the turn. Dan untaps and in his upkeep, he lets his Remore die. He plays a Bloodstained Mire as land for turn. He pays life and cracks it, fetching up a Bayou. He ups to hold up mana and pass the turn. Tyler untaps and draws. He plays a Snow-Covered Island as land for turn. Tyler casts a 6. He casts Magus of the Candelabra. Tyler goes to combat swinging Thrasios at John. He takes the damage, and Tyler passes the turn. Cammy untaps and draws. She casts a Mockingbird with X equals 1. It enters as a copy of Oswald. Cammy then opts to activate Kinnan. John responds by activating the One Ring to draw a card. She looks at the top 5, putting Wandering Archaic into play. She then passes the turn. In her end step, Dan opts to cast Snap, targeting Cammy's Mockingbird Oswald. Wandering Archaic triggers and Cammy copies Snap, targeting John's Oswald. John's Oswald is bounced and Cammy untaps 2 lands. She then casts Fierce Guardianship, countering Dan's Snap. He begs her to reconsider as he may need the mana to stop John. She says, "Shouldn't have got greedy then," and Snap is countered. The turn then moves to John. John untaps and in his upkeep he takes 1 from the One Ring. He taps the One Ring to draw 2. John plays Ancient Tomb as land for turn. He recasts his commander, Oswald Fiddlebender. John activates Oswald, sacrificing Chalice of the Void to search up a Mana Vault. Tyler cheers as he's finally free to cast his 0-drop here on turn 4. John casts Pithing Needle, naming Kinnan, Bond or Prodigy as it enters to slow Cammy down a bit. John is still not quite ready to push here. He asks if Dan is winning on his turn. Dan says no way at all. Since Tyler and Cammy have 1 card in hand between them, John casts Defense Grid. The table are stunned into silence as John passes the turn. Dan untaps and draws. He plays a Flooded Strand as land for turn. He pays life and cracks it, fetching up a Tundra. He casts a Lotus Petal. Dan taps out for a main phase ad nauseum. The table all buckle in, as John confirms Dan isn't planning to win this turn. He says still no way. At this point, Cammy points out the Wandering Archaic trigger. The table go quiet as Cammy resolves a free ad nauseum of her own. Cammy loves free card advantage and starts going. She reveals a Springleaf Drum, Homeward Path, Mirror Maid, Thorn Mammoth, Rhystic Study, Mindbreak Trap, Court of Calling, Void Winnower, and Tezzeret the Seeker, deciding she's finally good to stop there. Dan then starts revealing. He finds Delighted Halfling, Polluted Delta, Pact Negation, Eldritch Evolution, Eladamri's Call, Ancient Tomb, Noble Hierarch, Fierce Guardianship, Savannah, Chrome Mox, Toxic Deluge, Simian Spirit Guide, Underworld Breach, City Brass, Vampiric Tutor, Brain Freeze, and Rhystic Study, opting to stop there. Knowing Cammy has a Mindbreak Trap and Dan can't fight here under Wandering Archaic, he looks at his pile of cards trying to figure out how to not lose from here. He casts a Chrome Mox, imprinting Vampiric Tutor as it enters. He exiles Simian Spirit Guide to cast a Mana Vault. Dan now goes into the tank. He asks Cammy if she would counter a Toxic Deluge for X=3 to leave her with Archaic. She says no dice, as she holds all the cards. He opts to cast a main phase Opposition Agent, as he can't cast it later due to Defense Grid. Tyler explodes as he shows the only card in his hand was a Finale of Devastation to try and help them. Dan passes the turn, discarding down to hand size. Tyler untaps and draws. He goes to combat, swinging 6 at Dan. 6 triggers to mill 3 cards. Dan takes the damage. Tyler has no good options and just activates Thrasios to scry 1 or reveal a Fairy Mastermind. Tyler has to pass the turn. Cammy untaps and draws. She plays a Homeward Path as land for turn. She casts Thorn Mammoth. It enters and triggers to fight Opposition Agent, killing it. Cammy casts Tezzeret the Seeker. It enters and she activates the -3 loyalty ability of Tezzeret to search up Basalt Monolith to the battlefield. Cammy taps Basalt for 4 mana through Kinnan and pays 3 to untap it. She used this loop to generate infinite colorless mana. She then casts Court of Calling with X=2 to search up a Thrasios Triton hero to the battlefield. She activates Thrasios over and over until she draws Finale of Devastation. She casts a few more creatures, then casts Finale with X=100,000. Cammy goes to combat and blows everyone to bits. And with that, Cammy wins the game. Today, we have a 2-for-1 deal. In this game, John is playing Derevi, Imperial Tactician. This is a creature combo deck looking to use and abuse Derevi's untap ability to make infinite mana with any flicker effect. His hand contains a Fairy Mastermind, the One Ring, Manamo School at Water's Edge, and Breeding Pool. His 3 Luna Mulligans are Veil of Summer, Lotus Petal, and Teferi, Time Raveler. Dan is again playing Najeela the Blade Blossom. His hand contains a Mystic Remora, Mental Misstep, Drannith Magistrate, Opposition Agent, Snap, Bloodstained Mire, and Underground Sea. Tyler's playing Sisay, Weatherlight Captain. This 5-color tutor chain has 0-card win lines it can tutor the battlefield if it makes enough mana. In addition, it plays all the best value pieces 5 colors can offer. His hand contains a Delighted Halfling, Lotus Petal, Demonic Tutor, Emil the Blessed, Tundra, and Taiga. His Luna Mulligan is a Volcanic Island. Cammy is again playing Kinnan, Bonder Prodigy. Her hand contains a Badgermole Cub, Enduring Vitality, Wan Shitong Librarian, Mana Vault, Banishing Knack, Windswept Teeth, and Elvish Spirit Guide. And with that, let's see some value plays. John starts things off with a Breeding Pool, into play tapped. He passes the turn, really making good use of being on the play. Dan plays an Underground Sea as land for turn. He casts a Mystic Remora. He passes the turn. Tyler plays a Taiga as land for turn. He casts Delighted Halfling. He passes the turn. Cammy plays a Windswept Teeth as land for turn. She pays a life and cracks it, fetching up a tropical island. Tyler asks if she's going to be chill about the Remora, and she says no. Cammy exiles Elvish Spirit Guide from her hand for a green to cast Mana Vault. Remora triggers and Dan draws. Cammy then casts Rhystic Study. Remora triggers and Dan draws. Happy with her start, Cammy passes the turn. John untaps and draws. He plays Savannah as land for turn. He casts an Utopia Sprawl on his Breeding Pool. Mystic and Rhystic trigger, and Cammy and Dan draw. John names White and then passes the turn. Dan untaps and in his upkeep he lets his Remora die. He plays a Wooded Foothills as land for turn. He pays a life and cracks it, fetching up a Savannah. He casts a Drannith Magistrate. Rhystic triggers. John holds priority and casts Fairy Mastermind. Rhystic triggers and Cammy draws. Mastermind resolves and then Cammy draws again. Mastermind triggers to draw. After a lot of grumbling from Tyler and Cammy, Drannith resolves, while John cheers. Dan then passes the turn, discarding to hand size. Tyler untaps and draws. He plays a Tundra as land for turn. He casts a Lotus Petal. Rhystic triggers and Tyler pays. He then casts a Demonic Tutor. Rhystic triggers and he pays. Tyler searches up a card in hand and then passes the turn. Cammy untaps and draws. She takes 1 from her Mana Vault. She casts an Elvish Mystic. Cammy then passes the turn. John untaps and draws. He plays a Manamo, School at Water's Edge. He casts Mana Vault. Rhystic triggers and Cammy draws. He activates Derevi's ability to put it from the command zone onto the battlefield. Derevi triggers to untap Mana Vault. John then casts the One Ring. Alarm bells go off for the table as Rhystic triggers and Cammy draws. Mastermind triggers to draw. The One Ring resolves and John gains protection from everything. He taps the One Ring to draw a card. He then goes to combat, swinging Fairy Mastermind at Dan. Dan takes the damage and Derevi triggers to untap the One Ring. He taps the One Ring again to draw 2 cards. John, feeling great about his position now, passes the turn, telling everybody to just chill out. Dan untaps and draws. He plays a Pluto Delta as land for turn. He pays life and cracks it, fetching up a volcanic island. He taps out to cast his commander, Najeela, the Blade Blossom. Rhystic triggers and Cammy draws. Dan then passes the turn. Tyler untaps and draws. He plays Gemstone Caverns as land for turn. Tyler casts Mana Vault, Rhystic triggers and Cammy draws. He casts his own Rhystic Study, Rhystic triggers and Cammy draws. Mastermind triggers and John draws. Tyler then passes the turn. Cammy untaps and draws. Mana Vault pings her for 1. She plays a Wooded Foothills as land for turn. She pays life and cracks it, fetching up a Breeding Pool, into play untap, paying 2 life. She casts a Badger Mole Cub. Rhystic triggers and Tyler draws. It triggers to Earthbend her tropical island. Cammy then passes the turn. John untaps, and in his upkeep he takes 2 from the One Ring. In his draw step he takes 1 from Mana Vault. In his main phase, John plays Windswept Heath as land for turn. He pays life and cracks it, fetching up a Temple Garden, into play untap, paying 2 life. John activates the One Ring to draw 3 cards. He goes to combat, swinging Derevi and Fairy Mastermind at Dan. Dan takes the damage, and Derevi triggers twice, targeting the One Ring to untap. In response, Cammy casts Banishing Knack, targeting Drannith Magistrate. Rhystic triggers and Tyler draws. John responds with a Flare of Denial, hardcast, targeting Banishing Knack. Rhystic triggers and Cammy and Tyler draw. Fairy Mastermind triggers to draw. Priority passes through the boys to Cammy, and she casts Force of Negation, exiling Fierce Guardianship as an additional cost. Rhystic triggers and Tyler draws. John casts Force of Will, paying a life and exiling Mystic Remora as an additional cost. 2 Rhystics trigger and Cammy and Tyler draw. Mastermind triggers to draw off Cammy. In an act of total desperation, Tyler begs Dan to step in. Dan says what he can do is only give draws. It does not help. The table beg him to do it anyway. Dan reluctantly casts Mental Misstep, targeting Banishing Knack. 2 Rhystic trigger and Cammy and Tyler draw. With that, Mental counters Banishing Knack, Force counters Force, and Flare fizzles. Derevi's first trigger finally resolves, untapping the One Ring. John taps the One Ring to draw 4. Derevi untaps it again. John then taps it again to draw 5 cards. In his second main phase, John casts Lotus Petal, 2 Rhystic trigger and Cammy and Tyler draw. He casts a Veil of Summer, 2 Rhystic trigger and Cammy and Tyler draw. This would mean the rest of his turn is unstoppable, so Cammy steps up again and casts Mindbreak Trap. Rhystic triggers and Tyler draws. Veil is exiled from the stack. John then casts Cloud of Fairies, 2 Rhystic trigger and Cammy and Tyler draw. Cammy looks like she may respond, but John shows them he's just planning to cast a Ranger Captain and pass to try and hold up something for Dan's coming turn. Cloud of Fairies ultimately resolves, and triggers to untap 2 of John's lands. He then taps out to cast Ranger Captain of Eos. 2 Rhystic trigger and Cammy and Tyler draw. Ranger Captain enters and triggers to search up a Mockingbird to hand. He then passes the turn, discarding to hand size. Dan untaps and draws. He goes into the tank for a good while here. Dan casts Gilded Drake, 2 Rhystic trigger and Cammy and Tyler draw. Everyone passes priority as Gilded Drake resolves. It triggers to change control with Derevi. Dan goes to combat, swinging Drannith and Najeela at Tyler. Najeela triggers to make a 1/1 warrior, tap and attacking Tyler. The table now realize what has happened, as Dan is presenting a lethal combo as Tyler has no blockers. With no good answers to the Derevi-Najeela combo, Cammy casts Force of Vigor, exiling Bloom Tender as an alternate cost to destroy John's Mana Vault and Utopia Sprawl. Rhystic triggers and Tyler draws. Mastermind triggers and John draws. With no more answers, Tyler takes the damage. Derevi triggers 3 times to untap Dan's lands. He floats mana in between the triggers, then pays 5 into Najeela to untap all his creatures and get an additional combat. Dan goes to his new combat and swings Drannith, Najeela, and his warrior at Tyler. Najeela triggers twice to make 2 new 1/1 warriors tapped and attacking Tyler. He takes the damage, and Derevi triggers 5 times to untap his lands. Dan presents a loop of paying 5 mana into Najeela to get an additional combat, making more and more attackers each time, and making more and more mana with Derevi to continue to take extra combats. He does this over and over until the table is dead. And with that, Dan wins the game. So, what do we learn today? It doesn't matter how good John's starts are, somebody will always be there to swoop in right when they need to. If you have any tips for the video, leave them below. Subscribe if you feel like it. Until next time, keep making value plays. Chalice of the Void on 0.
Dang.
Dude. Bro. Come on.
Yo, I promise you, I will sack this in the next 2 turns.
I need Rog, brother.
I get that. Yeah.
I remember last week and I was like, dude, you see how streamlined these games are going? We get to play so many games, and John picks fucking Fiddle.
No.
First game of the day.
Fiddling around.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, you don't
Great. Dan doesn't
I
have
will
to.
say,
Oh,
if you
that sounds
let
like you got
this,
greedy.
if you let, no, I'm not, I don't think I'm getting greedy. If you let this resolve, I can make sure John doesn't win on his turn.
Activate Oswald, sack Chalice of the Void.
He's free!
I told you would be.
It's only turn 4.
You have 1 in hand, she has none in hand. He told me he wouldn't win.
Who's to say I can't win?
If you do, then it's a bad play. He told me he wouldn't win.
I'm not expecting to win.
I'm not expecting either.
I'm not expecting. I'll let it
Dan's
happen.
a goddamn vote breaker. Because I wouldn't have played Defense Grid. I asked you twice. So we'll see how this goes. Damn, guys.
What?
There's a Wandering Arcade trigger on Adnos. 7. Okay. I'm starting to feel better about what's in Cammy's deck.
I don't really know if I should,
You should keep going.
He's probably go. I mean, he doesn't have that much power to kill you.
Oh! Well, now you know. So now you can keep going.
Whoa.
That seems good. That seems great.
You're almost emboldened.
Holy shit!
How do I win?
I win.
Oh boy. For X is whatever you want.
For X's, for X's 2.
Yep.
200.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Hey, you find something for 3 in there you like, you cannot grab it. You just
Put out all the creatures you want, and you show us the finale.
Ooh, did you overdraw?
Ooh, stupid.
Hold me back.
Dan's doing pretty good.
John,
No, I just
what am I doing good? What?
I'm just pretty sure you have SWAT, and that is like pretty brutal. I will cast Ranger Captain Abios.
Ooh.
I got a wrist.
You guys are ETB, I search.
Relax.
I'm gonna search up a Mockingbird. Dude.
Dan, relax.
People are just worried about me for no reason.
No. But it's, I mean, it's also both, like, either one of them could be attempting a win.
I'm not offended, I'm just like...
Dude, I'm so far, it's crazy.
I agree, but just, like, 20 cards has to mean something. In a game about cards, you untap with 6 mana and 20 cards, it has to mean something,
Dude,
right?
all my cards cost 10 mana, and they're supposed to be tutored.
That's so weird.
I also did, I mean,
That's tough.
I did just top deck Gilded Drake, because I truly wasn't planning on winning. Like, I was like, I don't got any.
Remember when you said that after I said I need help for Dan? I'll tell you my other...
I had so many
did just
answers.
talk
I
about
literally
it.
had Abrupt Decay and a Bounce Spell and Touch the
Yeah.
Spirit Realm, and
Yeah.
I just had no mana. I literally couldn't do anything.
That's nuts.
Yeah.